Merry Christmas, first of all. And it's Christmas Eve 2025. I'm so excited. But I have severe anxiety today, guys. Um, Today is my day one of unmasking. So this is very hard. That's why I'm gonna be taking pauses, guys, because this unmasking thing is totally hard. And one of my girlfriends, uh, I'm sorry. Whew, her name is Alana Steele on Facebook, but her name is Anna Boyd. Shout out to Anna. Um, and go check out her YouTube, guys. Listen, she started this 30-day unmasking journey, and I decided that I wanted to be a part of it because as women, mothers, and humans, even men, we hold so much inside and we deal with so much stuff mentally and physically, and we really never address it. So today is going to be my journey, my day one. And this is hard for me to do, guys. So while I'm doing my thing, I am going to sit, talk with you guys about my journey. So my unmasking is me parenting through trauma, and ultimately it causing me to be, I guess, a bad mom. Now, in my eyes, I'm not a bad mom. My mother's eyes, my brother's eyes, none of my family members think I'm a bad mom. But, you know, sometimes kids can make you feel like you're the absolute worst mom in the world. And the reason why I feel this way, well, the reason why okay, two of my children, well, no, actually one, because my other child didn't call me a bad mom. He just said that he wished I would have parented more gentler. And I guess what that means for him is I'm a yeller. So I yell as a mother. And that is my number one issue is I get frustrated and I'm yelling. Now, I don't just yell about everything. You have to really take me there. Thank you. You have to really take me there. Like, you have to get in some major trouble in school for me to be yelling. Like, I mean, major trouble in school to be yelling, okay? So, one of my children was just getting in trouble in school constantly. But I was so frustrated and I just yelled and yelled and I wasn't talking to him. Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas. And that was on me. I didn't know how to communicate because I came from a household of yelling. And I guess that's my parenting and trauma bond. Like, that's me parenting through trauma. And not really having a mother or father to teach me how to communicate. This was my life, my whole life. I've been yelled at. I've been put on punishment for every little thing. Thank you. Thank you. My son painted that. Yes, and I'm trying. But guys, this is really giving me anxiety talking about it. But my daughter said something to me yesterday. She says, Mom, I feel like you don't take accountability for my feelings. And for her, I felt like I wasn't a bad mom to her, which I wasn't. And I can say I wasn't a bad mom, but what is her definition as a bad mom, right? So then I had to kind of, after we got off the phone, well, we were texting, after I got off the phone with her, I kind of had to look at what her definition of a bad mother might be. And that was the yelling. That was the cutting off when she was trying to talk to me and me trying to get my point across and I cut off. I've never been a physical person, so I've never really been the mom that whooped. Now, my kids have got whoopings before, but you got to really do something to get a whooping. So that was me, you know. But I felt like I had given her everything. But did I give her understanding? And that's what I'm thinking about. Did I give her understanding? And this is a part of my unmasking journey. is me looking at where my kids are coming from on the concept of, okay, mom, yes, you were the mom who read us stories at night, because I definitely was that mom. Yes, you were the mother who showed up to everything. Yes, you were the mom who, when I called, I was there. Yes, you were the mom who never let me go to bed without saying I love you. But you weren't the mom of gentleness. And that's where I came up. Now, she didn't tell me that, but I'm just looking like, maybe I wasn't gentle enough. Maybe I wasn't understanding enough, because my issue was I seen my kids. I grew up in a very strict household. And I grew up in ground pressure. I'm pressure, period. But I grew up in a household where it was very strict. And y'all see all this. I gotta go through all of that. I grew up in a household that was very strict. So my aunt and uncle didn't allow me to do a lot of things. And I learned as an adult that it was for my protection. And I didn't know that as a kid. I didn't know. And when I say adult, it took me until I was like 25, 26 to realize that my aunt and uncle's strictness was to protect me. But now that I'm an adult, I realize that I parented through trauma. And now that my kids are older, that is, it's really pretty much only one of them. But now that my child is older, they're like, oh, mom, I didn't feel like I got the best version of you. And for me, that sucks. It makes me feel very sad, because in my head, I was doing a great job as a mom. But apparently, I really wasn't. And now I got to figure out, how do I get to a point where I build a relationship with my daughter. And it's so crazy because we've always had the dopest relationship until she turned 18. When she turned 18, that's where everything started to go awry. So now I'm realizing that I may have been too strict. I may have put too much pressure on my kids, because education was like so big to me. It's like education was super big to me. And I really, really wanted my children to focus on school and education and, you know, all the things that a parent wants for their children. And that's what I wanted for my kids. But, you know, my daughter kept saying to me, Mom, this isn't what I want for myself. But I was like, no. I ain't gonna lie. I was the mom who was pushing maybe my agenda on her. It wasn't what I really just wanted, not me trying to live through her, but what I seen. I seen that my daughter has such great potential. When I tell you my daughter is business savvy, my daughter, bruh, with the right time, the right pressure, the right path, my daughter would be a billionaire. And my son, billionaire. But the problem was, I see that in them, and I was trying to coerce them down a path so that they could be successful, but it wasn't what they wanted. And I think that's where the bad mom comes in at. Because even though I think that's not me being a bad mom, to them it is, because I'm not hearing them. So my problem is I want to control everything. And I'm just now learning this about myself. Right. Like, how you just now learning that you want to control everything? In my head, I felt like if I controlled my daughter, my son's lives, not really controlled it, but put them on a path, help them get on a path that was going to lead them to success, then they would be set for life. They wouldn't have to worry. I wouldn't have to worry about them as an adult, because to be honest, I worry about my kids. My biggest fear right now is my children failing in life. And the reason why I feel like I have to be so hands-on in my kids' life is because I didn't have nobody hands-on in my life. You know, I love my mom. I love my auntie and uncle. I do, but none of them taught me anything. everything that I learned as far as business, as far as education, as far as life, I learned on my own. I taught myself. And so I didn't want that to be my kids. So I tried to control everything that they were doing, from what they were wearing. I do it now, and I try to tell my daughter when she goes to interviews, because kids nowadays, they're really lax when they go to interviews. I'm like, oh no, don't wear that. Let's go get this. And we go shopping, and it pisses her off because I'm like, let me style you. Let me style you. And I didn't really realize that that was an issue for her, because I thought she was just being a typical teen. Like, oh, mom, you just think you know everything. But in my head, mama knows best. I know best. I didn't have a mom. I didn't have a dad. For you guys who don't know, I didn't meet my mother until I was about 13. So my mom wasn't there in the early parts of my life. And then even then, she still wasn't really in my life until I was like 15, 16. And that's kind of when I started going to stay with her. You know, I didn't actually move with my mom until I was about 17. And that's when we formulated a relationship. So in my head, this is me parenting through trauma. And it took a conversation with my daughter yesterday for me to actually realize that, dang, maybe she right. Maybe you didn't listen. And I'm hurt because I want this dope relationship with my child, but I felt like I pushed her away to a point where she's never going to want a relationship with me. But then I'm also a very prideful person. I'm not going to hold y'all. Like, sometimes my way of thinking is, listen, I've been there for you your whole life. I done had your back. I wasn't abusive. I was there. Like, my standards of a good mother, that's how I looked at myself, because I was everything that my mom wasn't to me, I was to my kids. So in my eyes, that made me a good mom. You know, but in my kids' eyes, only feeling, that made me controlling. And it was only because, I guess, in my head, it was only because I want what's best for them. But that's not on them. That's on me. Because I haven't learned to step back and let my kids live life. Now, my daughter moved out, and she said to me, she said, because I called her, I was like, well, why didn't you come visit me yet? Or why haven't you called? I wanted to take you out to dinner. And she says, Mom, I just moved out. Let me live my life a little bit. And I'm pushing it. She's like, Mom, let me reach out. And I was thinking about how me and my mom's relationship was. And I was thinking, like, okay, when she moves out, her relationship and your relationship gonna be just like you and your mom. Because when I moved out, me and my mom's relationship went from non-existent to the best level, because drop the routines. You're funny. Listen. It was babies. Babies blessed me with these. I used to be flat-chested, okay? Listen, y'all may not believe it, but I was a flat-chested woman. Flat-chested. I had baby number 5 blessed me with chest. My second child blessed me with hips. Well, I always had hips, but my second child blessed me with booty. Like, each child I had gave me body yaddy. I'm blessed to have that. But yeah, guys, ultimately, I learned that, and this is in a couple of days, like, I've been learning that my trauma is I want to control the narrative. In my head, I think I'm Kris Jenner. I'm not lying. I just be wanting the best for my kids, but I guess I really haven't stopped to ask my kids what they wanted. Like, my sons, I don't know if you guys, my daughter and my sons modeled when they were younger. You might see, like, my sons on my Facebook page, my Instagram, and a few of them are on my YouTube page. No, thank you. Keep the beef cannon in the can, okay? So all my kids are gorgeous. My daughters are beautiful. My son is gorgeous. My daughter used to model and her brother used to model. And so I was telling my boys, I was like, listen, y'all should model. Y'all should get this Instagram thing going together. And my one son, his girlfriend didn't want him to do it. So here I am being the overbearing mom, but my 2 cents in it. I'm telling him, forget what she's talking about. Get to the paper. Son did not like that. Girlfriend did not like that. So I'm like, okay. That made me realize again, me overstepping my boundaries. And I never knew that overstepping your boundaries as a parent was stressful on your kids. And to them, that's being a bad parent because they're grown now and I need to stay in my lane. And I'm learning that. I am learning that. And my brothers tell me that too sometimes. But, you know, most of the time my brothers call and they want advice from me. But I learned that since I never had any control over my life ever, especially as a young person, being in a foster care, growing up with my aunt and uncle and them raising me and me having no access to my parents, that I had no control over my life. I had no control over anything. And then growing up in a group home, and I just had no control. So the one thing I knew I had control over was parenting my kids. And I guess I just never really stopped to think was, hey, are you being overbearing? You know? And I know some people are like, but you were doing what any parent does. But does that push our kids away? I'm learning it does. Hello. Hey. Make sure you guys drop where you're viewing from. Drop your city. Merry Christmas. Is your name Owner? Merry Christmas. But that is important. Take it from me. Being overbearing can push your kids away. I always tell my kids, because all my kids, my daughter just moved out. She moved out at 21. My 18-year-old and 19-year-old still lives with me. So I always tell my kids that I didn't mind them living with me until they were grown because, heck, I ain't have no choice but to get my own. I was 17 when I got my own place. Me and my sister. We were 17, and I just didn't want that to be my kids. You know, I really didn't. So I'm like, okay, but here's some rules. Because when I stayed with my mom for a little bit, my mom had rules. Oh, no, you on your own with that one, buddy. Hey, Michael Craig, you're on your own with that, buddy. No, thank you. Boy, you wild. You wild today. You is wildin'. Let me push this down a little bit so y'all can get more of me rapping. But anyhow, yeah. So what I have to unmask about myself is I'm controlling. I am controlling in everyone's lives. And that's not the victim, me being a victim. That's me facing realization of maybe I need to step back and allow my children to follow their own path. You know, my mother allowed me to follow my own path, but my mama always gave me stellar advice. And I have to realize, like, my children are not my mom, because I always be like, well, my mom gave me advice and my mom gave me criticism. But the difference between us is I listen, y'all not listening. And that's a control tactic. Didn't realize it because I'm thinking, oh, you're just giving them friendly advice. But then another thing I learned is, why am I giving advice that's not wanted? You know, sometimes we have to learn to keep our opinions and advice to ourselves, because who the hell asked us? Now, there's certain times where I might be like, you know what, no, I got to drop some wisdom on the situation. And then, you know, my kids be like, Mom, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. And then I find myself, and I'm just reflecting, I was still giving my advice and still giving my opinions and saying, no, you're going to listen to me. Don't walk out this room. You're going to listen. And I didn't realize that maybe that's why they don't want, well, she doesn't want a relationship with me, because I was forcing her to hear my opinions and my views. But in my head, this is what a parent does. This is what a mom does. A mom tries to save their child. But I also learned that that's another thing. I think I could save everybody. That's a part of being controlling. When you're trying to control everybody's life and the narrative. When you put it in your head that you're the savior, maybe a tad bit narcissistic. And it's not even just in my kids' life. I be like that with my brothers, my friends. Because sometimes I think that my life experience trumps everybody else's. Not really trumps everybody else's, but I feel like I lived a lot, been through a lot where I can give, advice. And I can, but only if it's warranted. Only if they want it. So that's where I'm getting to the point is if it's not requested, I am not giving it. And if I give it, it's going to be in, well, do you mind if I say this to you? But for the most part, guys, now I don't know what I'm going to do with this one, y'all. Don't know what I'm going to do with this one. But it's like, how do I address this? How do I address this, guys? I don't know. I'm so confused on it. But another thing that I realized, and I'm going to have to unmask it, is my fear of my life and the trauma that I went through in my life is going to happen to my kids. I went through abuse, dating the wrong person, and that person having a lot of control over my life. Because when I didn't listen to my mom warned me. I'm not even gonna lie, y'all. My mama had warned me. And I was always like, oh, I know best. My mama don't know crap. My mama don't know crap. I know more than my mom knows. And I didn't listen. And I ended up going through a really abusive relationship where that person almost killed me. So that's another part of my unmasking. Me thinking everything that happened in my life is going to happen to my kids. Fear. I parented through fear. Not only did I parent it through trauma, but I parented through fear. Whew. I'm having anxiety just thinking about that. My fear is any of my kids get into abusive relationships and they're not telling me. Because when I was in the relationship with my ex-fiance, that man was kicking my behind from sun up to sundown. And my cousin seen the bruises and told my mother. I hid everything from my mom. And then one day my mother popped up to my house, her and my cousins. And by that time, I already knew that my cousin told my mother. And so I hid my fiance in the pantry so that my family wouldn't, handle him. And that was stupid on my behalf. And I was still with him after that. It took, a year and a half for my parents to find out that I was being abused by this man. But, oops, messing this all up. Guys, don't judge me. And that's a fear that I came to with parenting my kids. A fear. Like, I would always ask my daughter, and it irritated her when she was in a relationship. And if I felt like she was acting strange or she was being a certain way, I'm like, are you being abused? Are you doing this? And I think to kids, that's aggravating because they feel like, why is she speaking negativity? I mean, it's just this generation. And I think operating through fear, I pushed her away too. And then my sons, they feel like I'm overprotective. I am, guys. So one of my sons just recently took a trip to Chicago. And I tried to talk him out of it for the longest because I know what goes down in Chicago. And then he's traveling. He just turned 18. So he's traveling across the country. And I'm trying to stop him. But then once he got there and he touched down, I realized that boy made it safely without you. He's all right. That boy is going to be all right. But even though I cried, guys, when it comes to my kids, I'm going to cry. I cried because I was stressed. I was worried. And then I'm realizing this is why your kids don't want to be bothered with you, girl, because you be stressing them out. Like, I'm stressing my kids out worrying. My kids like, Mom, I'm going to be okay. And, like, before he leaves, he says, Mom. Like, he grabs me by the shoulders. He says, Mom, I'm going to be all right, Mom. I have to live my life. And so he's in Chicago, and the homeboy ain't called me once. But I understand why he ain't called me, because he's like, if I call my mom, she's going to be giving me advice about being safe, because I'm not going to lie, I gave him the rundown. I did my research, and I told him the stuff that happens there, and I told him to be safe. And I done told him, hey. And I done told him about the Uber. Listen, I done told him, like, don't catch no Uber if you didn't order it because they'll arrest you. I'm like telling him all of this stuff. But then again, I'm happy he went, and he went against my wishes, because this is something that he had to do. Once I seen him like just so happy, I said, girl, you getting in the way of your kids' happiness. Yes, parenting through fear can get in the way of your children's happiness or hold them back. I was holding my kids back. I was holding my kids back through my fear. Because once he took that plane ride, and let me tell you something, that was something that I was never brave enough to do. And me instilling that fear and parenting through fear, I could potentially hold my child back. And it's so crazy is because once he got to Chicago, that realization came through. And it's just sometimes like you really don't see things until it's too late. Because like, why haven't I been seeing that I was parenting through fear? But I always said that that child of mine was going to always be the big traveler, the business guy. I knew that already. I seen that in him. But what if I'd have held him back from that Chicago trip? Would it have stopped him? Would it have stunted his growth? It possibly could have. I remember it's this guy on YouTube, and I don't know his name, but his mother, he said that his mother didn't like the pranks and stuff that he was doing in the mall. She seen a video of him doing pranks in the mall, and she says, no, don't be doing that. And he said that he knew that that was his calling, and for him to do that. And he said that he had moved out of her house and moved with his father, and his father was okay with him doing the videos. And he said that now he's a millionaire now. What if that's my kid and I'm holding my kid back? And him, like, I watched this video the other day, and I realized, like, dang, as much as we want to protect and love our kids, we could definitely be holding our children back. And my son see me as holding him back. And the young man said that even though his mother didn't approve of what he was doing, and he's a millionaire now, he said at that time he wasn't feeling his mother. But he said he understood that she wanted what was best for him, but he had to make the choice that he felt was right for him. And he said he still loves his mother and respects her to this day. You know, and mothers, a lot of us operate out of fear, especially with having boys, and especially with having girls. But what if he did listen to his mom? He wouldn't be as successful as he is today. So my son taking that trip to Chicago, I'm not even mad at him. My daughter taking this journey by herself, I'm not even mad at her. I'm not. I'm proud of them. I'm happy for them. But I know with my younger kids, I'm not going to make that mistake. I'm not going to make the mistake of parenting through fear and being overprotective, because the world is a scary place. But heck, you gotta let these kids live their lives. Let me talk about my rapping skills, y'all. Because my rapping skills is booty. Okay, straight booty. And that's what I learned. Number one thing I learned is I need counseling. I need counseling. And all this time, I didn't really know I need counseling. I thought I was okay. Whole time, I'm not okay. Whole time, nightmares that I have, I wake up and then I'm telling my kids, don't go here, don't do this. I'm not gonna lie, a few times that I told them, don't go here, don't do that, saved their lives. My son called me and said, Mom, you were so right about that. This is what happened over there. It was a few times like my sons had wanted to go to a party. And my gut was saying, do not let your sons go to that party. The whole time, the party got shot up and one of their friends got killed. Thank you. Hey, Ricky Moss. Hi. Merry Christmas. But I'm learning to be the parent that they just call you when they need you. Now, right now, when it comes to my daughter, she asked me to let her be. So right now, I'm not gonna bother her. But I also gave my children. Who is that coming in my room? Dang, what is that? I'm gonna need way more wrapping paper. This man, Merry Christmas. This man that brought me so many more gifts, bro. I hate rapping. But anyways, she asked me to back up, but I also learned that I am a good mom. I'm an overbearing mother. But that can make your kids feel some type of way. But I've also told my children that unmasking too, allowing my children to guilt me. I do allow my children to guilt me, and my kids guilt me a lot of the time sometimes into doing things for them. And my brother and my mother had to make me realize that, and my husband. My husband said, you know, sometimes kids play on me because they know that I am the one who's going to eventually give in. But I've also told my kids, I said this, I love you guys, but you don't get to use me. You don't get to say that I'm a bad mom or I was overbearing. But the moment you need something, this person that you feel was a horrible mom, you can't just call at every whim. If you don't want me a part of your life, you can't just use me. I'm not doing that. Because unfortunately, kids have a way of being toxic too, especially to parents that they know that really love them, and they'll drop everything to come and do whatever you need. So I am having stipulations too, because I feel like emotionally I matter too, but I also feel like my children are important too. So I'm gonna hear them. So I'm gonna address the concerns of me being overbearing, me not being understanding, me being a yeller, me being too strict. So I hear that. I'm gonna fix that and address it, because why not? Why not? You gotta be the best version that you could be for your kids. But children have to understand that parents deserve grace too. And yeah, we make mistakes. But ultimately, I'm willing. We're in family counseling too, just so you guys know. Well, family counseling will start next week for the people who live here. I invited my daughter, told her if she wants to be a part of it, she's more than welcome to. Now, we've had family counseling before. It was when we went through COVID. We had a great deal of loss. My kids went through a lot. They lost a lot of family during COVID. They lost friends. So we needed counseling as a family. But this is my thing, though. And if healing is going to begin, everyone has to participate in counseling. And if you choose not to do it, I won't force you. I'm not going to force no one. That's a part of my unmasking. I can't force anyone. That's a part of the issues. So I set some goals for myself. The number one goal that I decided to set was for me to be more understanding. And even though I don't always agree with my kids, I have to be understanding that this is their lives. And whatever decisions that they make, I have to respect it. And it's not my life. It's their journey. And the problem was I was parenting like it was my journey. And it wasn't my journey. I'm absolutely dead wrong for that. Dead wrong. And I apologize to my kids for that. Because it is their life. And you only get one life. And they have absolutely every right to live it the way they choose. May not agree with it, but it's their lives. I don't have to accept it, though. That's what people don't understand. I don't have to accept it. But I would never go out my way to be like, oh, I'm just going to make you feel uncomfortable because I don't accept your choices or your what's the name. And I think that's where everybody has to get to in a place of life, especially me. Whatever you do outside of my house is not my business. So that's where I'm at, guys. And I'm trying to think about all of my flaws right now and trying to address them. My problem is, I also thought, one thing my daughter said to me was, Mom, you never thought I was going to move out. And I told her, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. I absolutely thought she wasn't. Honestly, I thought she wasn't going to ever move out. Because I always told my children, as long as y'all respectful and y'all help out, I don't give a freak how long you stay with me. You can stay with me as long as you want to, as long as you're respectful and you obey the rules. So I did have like a curfew, and my kids didn't like that because they feel like they're grown. But there is a curfew in my house. And the reason why is because my mother had a curfew for me even though I was grown. And when I broke curfew, she did not open those doors. And I had to go up the street to my auntie house. But I respected my mom's rules though, because now that I'm grown, I understand why. My mom had my little brothers that lived there with her still, because I was grown, but my brothers wasn't. And that's the same situation with me. I have 3 little kids staying here still. So I didn't want my 3 little kids to see them running in and out the house because I still have to set a standard. So that's why there was a curfew. There's some people be like, I don't give an F. Them kids are grown. They come and please as they want. No. In their home, yes. In my home, no. That's one thing I won't budge on. I will not budge on that. So for that, I don't know how they'll see me as that. I mean, with that regard, but that's how I feel. Ooh. This is, I forget whose gift this is, but look at this one. I don't even know whose. Thank you. Thank you. But, yeah, I mean, I could be the best mom I could be. The one thing I would say, guys, and I'm going to say this because I have to defend myself a little bit because I do have to address my flaws. But the one thing I learned, too, with unmasking myself is don't want my door. Yes, MTG, well, I can't see. MTGV Crime Report Podcast. Ooh, that sounds like a dope podcast. Oh, I'm going to have to check you out. Don't want my door open and closing while I am asleep. Exactly. That is definitely why. And my aunts and them were that way, and my mother was that way, and that's just how I was raised. So, yeah. And a part of my unmasking is I don't give myself enough credit. So, it's something called imposter syndrome. Yes, ma'am. You're welcome. You're welcome. So imposter syndrome, if you guys never heard of it, is when you've had so many accomplishments in your life Thank you. You had so many accomplishments in your life, but you don't give yourself credit because you don't see the beauty in you, or you think that everything that you got was you got lucky for it. But you don't recognize that your hard work, or say if you feel like if you made it to the top, you might think it was a gimmick. That's imposter syndrome. That's when you don't give yourself enough credit. And I do suffer from imposter syndrome. And I had to learn this in school. My professor made us take a test. But I always felt this my whole life though. I always had a fear of success. Having a fear of success is a part of imposter syndrome, especially when you're doing good. So a part of me, I have to give myself credit as a mom. I've never been an abusive mom. I've never been the mom who wasn't there. My children never lived in a household without utilities or anything. I made sure they lived in the safest neighborhoods as possible. Now, starting off when we was young, because y'all, I was a mom at 13, wasn't the best mom. I was not the best mom. I was still out here trying to figure it out. Like 13 years old, what the hell you know about being a mother? 15, 14 years old, I'm a mom. And I didn't make the best decisions. I wasn't a perfect mother. I definitely messed up. My kids do probably have trauma from that, but once I hit a certain age and I matured, I was the mom who took parenting classes. My mother sat down and told me, she says, you're going to be a better mother to my grandkids, or I will take them kids from you. That's what my mama told me. She told me this at 16 or 17. I'm sorry, 17. My mama said, I had 2 kids at 17. My mom like, you going to do better. And I'm just like, dang, my mom telling me that. And then my mama putting fire underneath my butt. And then my mama actually taking my daughter, not custody, but she had my daughter and she was not going to give my daughter back. And I was like, yo, I can't live life without my children. So I had to get myself together. I had to face me. And my mom holding me accountable and me being willing to listen to my mom. And then my big cousins, like my cousin Ned, like all my cousins, like, yo, we got you. We're going to support you. My aunts stepping in. We got you. We're going to support you. You say you thought I looked young? Thank you. Yes. Yeah. And I tell people that all the time. Like, people be like, wait, why you and your daughter look like sisters? I'm like, because we're close in age. Like, yeah. But if it wasn't for like my aunts and them, man, listen. My aunts got me together. My mother got me together. And that's another reason why I think that I turned out to be somewhat of a decent parent. Am I perfect? Heck no. Yes, 13, yeah. I had my first child at 13. Out here not knowing nothing about the birds and the bees, doing stuff I ain't had no business doing. Knocked up. First try, knocked up. With the girl. And that's what I was saying to my kids. That's why I parent through trauma, because I was a teen mom. No one explained to me about sex. No one. Thank you. Yeah, I try to be reasonable, but there's some things that I will stick to because I am a traditional person. I'm not perfect at all. By no means. I was not a perfect mom. But yeah, girl, 13. And that's what I was trying to tell my children. Like, this is me parenting through trauma because I was so young and I did so much. And hey, and no one taught me. No one taught me about sex. No one had a conversation about sex. I learned about sex from, unfortunately, molestation and then me willfully having sex. I learned through a boy. No one had that conversation with me. No one had a conversation with the birds and the bees, no one. And so I'm like 6 months when I found out I was pregnant because my aunt, like, she looked like she getting fat. She ain't had no period. My aunt made me take a pregnancy test and I was pregnant. Took me to the doctors. I was 6 months pregnant. Didn't even know. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. And that's a part of my unmasking is sexual assault is the reason why I was so tight on my kids. Like, my children, literally, when we came down here, if it wasn't like my mom, they didn't even spend the night at my cousin's house. Only one of my cousins, my cousin Precious, was the only. So my kids didn't get to spend the night over their friend's house until my kids turned 18. And like my son's like he was getting teased about that. And you know, he was mad at me. It's like, dang mom, I made him miss out on a lot of things, but they didn't understand like I spent that over at my friend's house. Her father molested me. So yeah, no. Spend that over certain cousins' house. It'd be the cousins. It'd be the family members. And then you don't speak out about it, because if you speak out about it, the family covers it up, or they'll say you wanted it, or you were a willing participant, you know? And my kids, they don't understand that. Like, I didn't really go into detail with my kids about that, because that's something that is so hard to talk about. It's so uncomfortable to talk about. And then they don't get it. That's the number one thing. Like, my kids don't get, like, I was too young to be going through the things that was happening to me. And I just really wanted to protect them from that. And so that's where this parenting through fear came from. Like, I want to be a part of everything. Like, so my children weren't allowed to have cell phones until they were in high school. My 12-year-old, he's like, well, mom, all my friends have phones. And I just told him, like, I know it's needed, but it's just through the cell phones. My molester, I'm sorry, guys, he got me a cell phone so he can keep in contact with me. And mind you, he's the deacon at my church. And mind you, I'm 14. Yeah, I'm 14. And it took for me to get grown, for me to understand that the relationship between him and I was not okay. And so I'd be afraid of stuff like that. So I felt like high school is where children are a little bit more mature and they understand the consequences that come with stuff like that. It doesn't give me a pass to try to control every aspect of my children's life. And that's why I said I should have sought counseling, and I should have recognized that that was harmful to me and my children's relationship. Is because I was a mom parenting through trauma, and me thinking I'm protecting them, but I'm making them miss out on life. And I hate that. I really hate that. He could, but it's just like, I don't want to be one of those women who wait like years upon years to come out and say some stuff, you know? And there was an instance where one of the guys, my family did find out about it, and they called the police. I'm not going to state his name because his kids are grown, and I don't know. I hate them that way. But anyways, my family showed up to his house, had me, and he had called me, and he had told me, he was like, my baby mama, because his baby mama and my cousin were friends. Yep, you're right. You're right. I had to block my son from Roblox because some guy on there talking about, hey, you want to video chat me? I'm like, what the heck? So I want my children to be on devices that I can control. Like their iPads, they have a time limit. I have an app where I'm viewing everything on there. Angel Star girl, you about to make me cry. Because you're so right. She said, I wish family back then would have talked to us about dangers and would have looked out for us. I wish so too. And my kids don't understand that. Like, so me wishing that I had that, yo. I wish that my mom, I wish so many people would have taught me so much, because a lot of stuff, like the first time I was ever molested, I was 5 years old, and I never forget that. I would never forget that. And being afraid to come forward, and that person telling me, like, I remember I did something, I broke something, and it was like, I'm gonna tell your mom that you did this, and your mom gonna whoop you when she get back. And they were babysitting me. My mom and them was out, and my aunt had went and let me visit, bro. And my mom didn't have custody. My aunt had custody of me. And my aunt went to let me visit my mom. And that's what happened. And like my brothers, and once my brother found out what was happening to me, my oldest brother, because my brothers were in prison. Yeah, my brothers was in prison because, like I told y'all, my mom didn't have it. So my brothers was out here making sure we ate, make sure we were taken care of. And when my brother found out, my brother went ham, and my brother got locked up for that. And no one pursued it. Like, no one pursued the charges. No one pursued. Well, the person from Children's Service did come out and talk to me, but nothing happened. Nothing happened at all. And my brother ended up going to prison for that. My oldest brother, David, rest his soul. And then, like, yeah. It's so crazy because that was my bro. But I don't even have, like, it's hard. Like, it still fucks with me. Like, it's hard to talk about. So me going to court, I don't even know. Like, it's embarrassing. I used to always feel like it was my fault. You know? And then I remember I told my cousin, and she was like, I'm a lie too. She's like, this is what she was like, both my cousins. She was like, I'm a lie, just so they can believe you. She said, I'm going to say that he did this to me, just so somebody could believe you. And my cousin was like, I'm going to get you out of there. She's like, I want you to lie to the school and tell them that you're being beat. And I was like, what you mean? She's like, because if you tell them that you're being beat, then the school is going to believe you versus you telling them that you was molested. And my cousin's like 12 at the time. I'm like 8. And sure enough, I told the school I was being beat. The school came out to the house, but they ain't give a fuck. They ain't do nothing. Did nothing. Nothing. So my cousin was like, I'm gonna lie too. But because my cousin was like always in trouble, ain't nobody believe her. Like, my cousin was trying she was trying her hardest. I don't know. Ain't nobody believe her. Her situation, it really happened to her because she ended up staying in a group home. But nobody believed her because she was, you know, like a problem child. You know, she was like, yeah, girl, we gonna lie and say we being beat. Girl, they did come out quick though, I ain't gonna lie. It wasn't, thank you. Wow, I'm so sorry, Angel. Yeah, I told my mother once I got older, but my mom had a drug problem and she did like try to address it. I ain't even gonna lie, but her addiction was stronger than her conviction, if you get what I'm saying, you know? And, you know, even now, like, she always apologizes to me. But I tell her, like, Mom, I'm not even mad at you. I'm not mad at my mom because, like, y'all, my mom went through some stuff. And when I was younger, I was mad at my mother. But it took for me to get older to realize that my mother was a victim as well. My mom's abuse was so severe, bro. It was so severe. My mom's mother died in front of her. My mother was my grandmother was walking my mother and my auntie to school. My grandmother slipped on ice and she fell and hit her head. And so from what they was telling me, I guess it was like a pipe that was like sticking out the ground and it hit her in the head. Like when she fell, she hit her head on it and she died instantly. And so then my grandfather had got custody of my aunts and my uncle. Well, he had them. They just stayed with them because my grandmother and my grandfather were together. But then my grandfather died. He died from cancer. Right. Yeah. So she had my aunt and my aunts and my mother was passed around like the family members from house to house, and a lot of abuse happened to them. So it is. It really is. Thank you, Angel, because for real, I'm telling you, this is my unmasking day. But yeah, like, whew, my aunts and my mother's abuse was so bad, they ended up turning to drugs. And so when I was young, I never knew that story. It took for my auntie, my father, the aunt that raised me was my father's sister. Right. My aunt who raised me was my father's sister, and she told me the story when I got older. And because I would always be like, I hate my mom. And she was like, nah, your mother was not always like this. Your mother's trauma got to her. And so being a victim and getting older, and I understood why my mom was so messed up and why my mom was on drugs. And I told my mom, I love you, woman. The best thing she did was to give us up. That was the best thing my mother did for me and my little brother, because we could have been in prison like my older brothers. We could have had a way worse life. You get it. We have kids and we know what to look out for. I feel like a helicopter parent, but the world is an even crazier place now, right? And girl, I guess I helicopter too much because my kids be like, girl, give me my space. But that's what I was afraid of. Like, I never wanted my kids to go through that because they don't understand. Like, I still have nightmares. I still have nightmares. I still feel like I need to get up and wash myself off. Or I still blame myself. And I'd be like, damn, why wasn't you smart enough to not let this happen to yourself? Why wasn't you smart enough to tell right away? Like, what were you doing to put yourself in this position? But I'm like, how could a 5-year-old, right? Well, only way my mother could cope, for real, for real. Like, and my aunts too. Like, I swear to goodness, bro. I'll never hate my mother. Never. And you know, that's why I told my kids, I was like, bro, I didn't even have a mom, bro, to be honest. And I never hate my mother. You know, but you know, my brother told me, he was like, these kids live a privileged lifestyle today, so they'll never understand that. He told me the best thing I could do is fall back and let them live life. But he said, you're not going to overstretch yourself because you did right. You know, you did the best that you could as a mother and you protected your kids. And that's the only thing I could do. You know, I don't have bad kids neither. I really don't. Thank God. Thank God. And that's my goal, is to break that. And I think I did break it, especially with my kids. But you know what? I'd rather my kids not talk to me than them sitting here on the couch telling me this was their story. Okay. I guess you ain't, As long as I did my job in protecting you, made sure you had a roof over your head and you were loved, I did my job. Yes, sir. I'm trying to figure out, got this from my boy. And yeah, so I ain't even really that mad, y'all. I'm really not. I ain't gonna lie, I was hurt. But then I was like, you know what? It is what it is. But I learned that parenting is a journey. And I don't give a care about how many parenting books are out there. There is no one way to parent. And I told my kids, there's no way. There's not one child out here who's went through life with no type of trauma. Be thankful that your trauma isn't the type that breaks you in half. Your trauma is your parent being overprotective or a helicopter mom, or, you know, I'll take that over anything. I wish that was my story. I'll take that over anything. Uh-oh. Hey, Kane! I forgot I ordered groceries, y'all. Thank you. Thank you. But my kids are going to be all right, though, because you know why? I have so much faith in them. And, you know, I had to learn life. I swear to goodness, I thought, like, my mom, when I turned 17, I moved with her, and she had all these rules, and I thought she was just so overbearing. And now I'm an adult, I understood it was her protecting me. It was her protecting me. And you know what? Let me tell y'all something. My mama told me, I was trying to date, right? And I wanted to date this guy. And he was so cute, y'all. Let me tell you, he was fine. And he was just like this guy that I had seen around, and he was a D-boy, guys. I'm not gonna lie, he was a D-boy. And my mama told me, and she's like, yeah, he got it. He nice looking. He got the paper, but this is not the man for you. And I was like, how you figure? She says to me, she says, daughter, God has a different path in life for you, but the thug is not it. She told me, she said, you can't handle a man like that. And I wasn't trying to hear her at first, and then I was about to leave with him. We got into this big fight. He ended up leaving. She took me into the front room. She said, sit down. She stopped yelling, because my mom was a yeller too. She stopped yelling. I'll never forget, she took a deep breath in. She says, daughter, you are not the type of woman who can handle a man like that. She said, a man like that will take everything from you and break you. And she said, he'll break you so bad that you'll potentially become me. And I'm like, what? She said, yeah. She said, a man like that will have you out here on drugs, not taking care of your kids. She told me, she said, you need a man who is similar to you, someone who seeks after knowledge, someone who is happy-go-lucky. She says, you need a man who is going to bring out the best in you and support you in everything that you do. And when she said that to me, I said, oh my God, my mom's absolutely right. And so I never dated a thug again. I dated one thug in my life, y'all. Yes, Angel said, I love those life lessons. We get it. Little gems, we keep them in our pockets. Right. And if it wasn't for my Aunt Thelma taking me to church and me hearing the word, and people don't understand, like when they said it takes a village, I had aunts who were praying for me. My Aunt Ann, God rest her soul, that woman prayed me through, y'all. That woman prayed me through. But that what my mom told me never left me. It never left me. So I did not marry. I married an engineer. My husband is in law enforcement now, but he used to be an engineer. He is one of the nerdiest people I know. But that man loves me and his kids so much. And then, like I said, I never dated a thug again. And then sometimes I look at some of these situations with some of those thugs, and I was like, bro, that could have been me. And I'm so thankful it wasn't. But I listened to my mother. Because you have to know, and even though my mother had a drug addiction, my mom was very wise. She still is wise. My mom still gives me some of the best advice. I love my mama. And I don't care what she went through. I don't care if she wasn't there for me when I needed her when I was a little kid. She is here now, and that's all that matters. And let me tell you, my mama was a great grandmother, okay? Where she slacked with us, she picked up in being a grandmother. Hey, 14 years yesterday. Congratulations. Happy anniversary. I love it. Yes. Girl, yes. I love it. Yeah. It'll be, we've been together for 18 years. And we've been married for 10 years. Well, it'll be 11 years in July. And let me tell you, that's my boo. Y'all, that's my boo. That's my little yay yay. You're welcome, girlie. You're welcome. Y'all, I am in this room. It is hot in here. They got the heat on. I hope they got them groceries from outside. Y'all, I'm going to have to get some help. I still got this whole band to get through. Man. And then my husband going to come in here and drop off a whole other bag. And then I got to start preparing for dinner. I'm like, Lord. But guys, I'm going to wrap this up. Literally. I will be coming back because we're going to be outside on the griddle. So we're about to make some hibachi burritos. Yes. So I'm waiting for my husband to go to the store to get some propane. And then we will be back with a cooking video today. We ain't no cooking with Kaya, but it's a cooking with the Lord. Angel, thank you so much. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Angel, you're going to get there. You are, listen. Angel, I appreciate you, and for everyone who commented, everyone who's sat in the live with me, I appreciate you guys. I'm going to implore you guys to go through the 30-day unmasking journey. And basically, that's just you unmasking things about your life, having revelations, and unmasking feelings that maybe you didn't even know you had. So it's just a path to get to healing, you know? And that's my goal, is to find healing, to find peace within myself, and to make sure that I'm a mother that my children are proud to say that I'm their mom. And just being a great human being. That's the goal. But I appreciate you guys. Thank you for everyone who subbed. You guys have a beautiful Christmas and a happy new year. And I will be back with a cooking video in probably a few hours. I'm going to try to get more of this stuff wrapped up. But y'all, there's so much stuff, y'all. My hands hurt already. I've been rapping for days. All right, guys. Bye. I'll see you guys later. Make sure if you haven't done so, like and subscribe. Thank you. Bye.